And good morning. Welcome to On the Bench with Big Jim. I'd like to welcome you all in. This is Jim Nielsen, and we have a great guest that's going to be on today. I'm really excited to visit with Mike. Good morning, Christina. Good to see you here, and good morning, Spencer. Good to see you guys here. It's going to be a fun day. We have Mike Monan, who was a coach of a young man who was drafted in the NFL draft this last weekend. And we have the opportunity to visit with Mike today. It's going to be fun. I'm going to enjoy it just because we get to talk wrestling. Football, excuse me. We get to talk football. I was thinking wrestling just because I saw Christina and Spencer, and I have lots of friends in the wrestling world, and that's a good thing. So I want to wish a couple of happy birthdays today. Tom Heath is another year older. I'm not going to share how old Tom is, but happy birthday, Tom. As well as Tyson Mums. Tyson Mums works at Idaho State University and helps with the administration of the athletic department. And I think he's in the fundraising, or does a lot of work there for the athletic department at Idaho State University. The athletic director at Othello High School is having a birthday today. Happy birthday, Jenny McCordy. You do such a great job down there. Othello's athletic department is being well run, and I'm glad to see her not only be a star athlete down there at Othello, but come back and give back to her alma mater that she loves so much. Jeremy Zender, happy birthday, Jeremy. It's good to see that you're still having birthdays. And Michael Valdez is having another birthday today, so I wanted to wish all those guys, all those folks, a happy birthday. Good morning, Mick. How are you? Good to see that you popped in. I noticed you pop in occasionally. I'm going to get in touch with you because I think your story is a great story I'd like to share with everybody. And high school. Troy. Oh, that's awesome. That's very cool, Christina. That's very, very cool. I'm glad to hear that. Congratulations about that. That's a very cool honor. I'm going to have to like that. Very cool thing. Good morning, Lisa. Good to have you guys here. It is going to be a fun day today, folks. On the bench with Big Jim, we're going to talk football. We have a gentleman that's going to be joining us here in a minute who is... I'll tell you what, this guy, we could talk for a couple hours. Actually, I think it's gonna be a fun morning visiting with Mike, just because I guess you could call him gregarious. He's very outgoing and full of life, and he tackles every day. Not no pun intended, but he's an offensive line coach. He's been coaching high school football for 31 years. Played college football at University of Washington. Played high school football at Ingram High School over on the west side. And he's got a great story. And this last weekend, he and his good friend, Wayne Maxwell, the head coach at Woodinville High School, they were able to go to Nashville to the NFL draft because one of their pupils, one of their football players, got drafted and here he is. Got drafted he was the 20th to the Philadelphia Eagles, and we're going to visit with Mike Monan right now, coming from his work. He works for the Olympic Pipeline. How you doing, Mike?
I'm doing fantastic today, Jim. How are you doing?
I'm doing really good. Good to see you here. Welcome to On the Bench with Big Jim.
Hey, thanks for having me. I've followed you ever since the Moses Lake All-Star game, and been very excited to be here today.
Oh, well, I appreciate. I'm glad we were able to meet because if we hadn't have met, if you guys hadn't have done so well and been picked to be on the coaching staff, I don't know if you and I ever would have met. This would have been a shame because I see I think we're a lot alike in that we're old offensive linemen that like to have a good time and have a passion about helping kids. So it's been an honor to have been able to get to know you.
Yeah, I think old linemen really never die, and they
No.
always have that spirit. They think they still have one more play, and I know I always think that, but the
Yeah.
kids always prove me wrong.
They always try to keep us in our place. You just brought back some memories, and I always think that I have that one more snap. But no, I'm done playing.
Yeah.
So first off, let's. You were an offensive line coach for Andre Dillard, who just got selected. He was a WSU Cougar. He just got selected with the 22nd pick of the NFL draft to the Philadelphia Eagles. And you had the pleasure of being his football coach, his high school football coach at Woodinville High School for 3 years. Back, 2014 is when he graduated. So his last football season would have been 2013.
Yep.
But to try and lay some groundwork, I'd like to get a little history from you. When did you start playing football?
I was one of the fat kids growing up, so I didn't start till high school. I started back at Ingram High School back in 1981. I was the first freshman class there, so I got to actually participate in football and really come to adjust and love that game. As a freshman, I was able to play on the freshman team and then work my way up to the varsity team, and had a great time playing for the Ingram Rams. And John Zager, who was my offensive line coach, was the head coach. And I think he just instilled that want and desire to get better. And then having that put into me, gone up to the University of Washington, where Coach James, I was a walk-on there, to fulfill my dream as being a Husky. And I enjoyed every minute of that. And that taught me 95% of what I know now in coaching the offensive line. I've always stolen everything else from all the other great coaches that I've come in contact with. So I just have got the bug for football when I was in the 9th grade and never really let it go.
Now, you didn't play until you were a freshman, but was your dad a Husky fan, or was he a football fan? Did you grow up watching football with your dad? And
very much so.
And you guys were always Husky fans?
Yes, I was a strange kid, born and raised in Seattle. Ever since, and I'm 52, or almost 52, there's no Seahawks around. So I became a Minnesota Vikings fan because that's from where my mother was born in Minnesota. So the purple and gold has been with me ever since I've been old enough to wear it. I used to wear the Carl Ellett jerseys, the Jim Marshalls, the Chuck Foreman, the Fran Tarkentons, all of the, the purple people eaters, because you always dream of being a D lineman so you actually can hit somebody.
That's right.
But I was a Vikings fan growing up. My dad graduated from the University of Washington with a fisheries degree. My grandmother was working in administrations at the University of Washington. So I've been a Husky since I was born through my father, and he had season tickets all the way through, and he had only 2. And so he would only take, my mom, and I'd get to go to one game, or my brother would get to go to one game. So we'd always get to see and have that Husky excitement to this day. And I've taken over his tickets, being a Tyee member now that I'm done at the UW and just kind of enjoying that. I'm tailgating every Saturday. That's my freedom away from high school football. And then on Sunday, I'm right back into breaking down film and getting after it. But now I'm going to have to watch the Philadelphia Eagles. Hopefully their morning game so I can get it done and over with, and then I can do my scouting and film breakdown for high school.
Get back to work. But I imagine the Eagles will probably be all the morning games, being that they're on the East Coast. But I remember seeing when Woodinville would go deep into the playoffs, you would have to cancel some of your tailgating festivities because you guys were playing on Saturdays in the playoffs. That is an unfortunate happenstance that you welcome because you'd like to see you guys playing in the playoffs.
Exactly.
uh, 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 Mike, you're cutting out. Um, your
Any
your
better?
your your reception's you're kind of paused on the screen.
Okay. You want
I
to
can
try?
hear you. I can hear you.
Hearing these guys looking at me.
uh, um, oh, are you in the bottom of your building? And you're gone. Uh, let's. I'm gonna. This is what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna unconnect Mike. Oh, there he just was. I'm gonna bring you, Mike. Stick with me. I'm gonna bring you back in to the show. There you go. I'm gonna add you back in. Live. There we go. Oh, now you're outside.
Yeah, I'm in jail now. I got the barbed wire fence behind me. Hopefully the car noise isn't too bad.
No, this is good. So, Coach, now you've been a Husky your whole life, and you've been coaching high school football for a long time. You actually started coaching high school football when you were still a Husky. Tell us a little bit about your career at University of Washington.
Well, I held the bench down very good. I was a legitimate, All-American scout team player, so I just enjoyed playing and practicing and being part of the team. I understood back there, once you kind of get into the realm of college football, you instantly know the pecking order, and there's always been just a little bit different in the offensive lineman. You always think you're good, but as you practice, you get put in your place pretty good. And I like to compete and be a part of the team, so I was going along, and then in 1987, I ended up getting mono, and I dropped from like 280 pounds down to 217, and I couldn't go to school, and I couldn't have a contact around the team to give anybody of that. So the high school coach didn't care, so I came back and started my coaching career, kind of working in and out of with those kids, and even though I had mono, they didn't care. Just couldn't touch them too much, and had a great time dealing with that. So that's where I started and got the bug back in 87, and then through the year I came back in 88, and then when my senior year came through at the UW after spring practice, that's when my injuries and just getting beat up just said, I'm done. I got an offer to be an offensive line coach at Lake Washington High School. So in 1989, that was when I quit playing football and started my coaching career.
And you've been coaching high school football ever since. That's a long extent. 31 years, is it?
And yes, about in that ballpark. I'm not really good with math. I always forgot the snap count, so I got to have it written down to tell me that. But yeah, it's been about 31 years of doing it. It's been great. I've coached at Lake Washington High School, Redmond High School, Juanita High School, back to Redmond High School, and now I'm hopefully finishing up my career at Woodinville High School here now.
Just off of the subject, since you mentioned that, do you see when you're going to be able to step away from the field?
When I got fired from Redmond, it was time, but my wife says, I can't deal with you at home. You'll go crazy. So I think I'm going to probably end up just dying on the field or being one of these old coaches that is going to be constantly coaching and just enjoying that aspect. My wife and I don't have children. So every year I coach, I get a new batch of kids that I grow to love and really respect. So that for me is kind of my childhood. It keeps me young. I got a gray muzzle and some gray hairs now, but when I'm out there with the kids, listening to rap music and having all that kind of fun with them, it just kind of makes it entertaining and it keeps me youthful.
That's awesome. That's a good attitude. You never cease to crack me up with your little sayings, and I can't imagine how much fun it would be to play football for you. But I've got a couple years on you because your freshman year in 1981, was my freshman year at Idaho State University because I graduated high school in 1981. So I'm a little bit older than you, but um, similar paths, and you have a great passion for this. Now, uh, Andre Dillard shows up on your guys' doorstep as a skinny little eighth or 10th grader.
Yep.
Because Woodinville was only a 3-year high school back when he came into school. So what were your first thoughts when you first saw or met Andre Dillard?
Well, when I first met him, he didn't say a lot. He just said, "Hi, coach." And we kind of got him dressed up, ready to rock and roll. And he was about 6'3", 6'4", and about 190 pounds, 100 to 200 pounds, just skin and bones. When we got out there, we got him suited up and started going. And I had a really good left tackle at the time, Devin Dietrich, who went to play for Montana. And Andre was second in line right behind him because I saw he had a little potential with him. And then we went through the chutes, which is about a 4-foot high encased cage. And Andre went flying through that and smashed into Devin. And Dietrich kind of went, "Whoa, this kid's going to be good." And I watched him through on that chute, and he had the Z in the knees, the pop of the hips, everything that you look for in an offensive lineman. And I said, this kid, if we can get him to gain weight, is going to be one of the best kids I've ever coached. And Devin goes, "Well, I thought you said I was." I go, "You are now. You can always be replaced." So that's when I ran into him, and Devin really tutelage, brought him under his wing and taught him how to be an offensive lineman. And with my coaching and helping him gain some weight, he ended up being about 235 pounds, 200 or so. When he left, about 6'4", almost 6'5" at that point in time.
Because his freshman year at WSU, he ended up redshirting, but he was listed at 6'5", 245. And looking at the pictures from his true freshman year to his redshirt senior year, you could tell his years of maturation, and he went from 245 to 310 pounds. And so you could tell that he'd been in the weight room. He dedicated himself in the off season to gain that weight so that he could be a true offensive lineman in the Pac-12.
Yeah, he fell in love with the dining room table over there, and the NCAA made an adjustment to where they actually feed him a lot. They get like breakfast, lunch, and dinner now. So he was able to really apply himself with eating. But, just gaining weight is just not what he did. He is amazingly strong. And by lifting in the weight room, eating the proper foods, he'd go get a pre-shake before workout. He'd get a pre-shake, post-shake afterward, and just constantly keep working on putting on the right weight. And he's, 19% body fat. I mean, he doesn't have a lot on him right now, and he weighs 317 pounds, and he's cat quick. I mean, he still has that snap. And when you watch him and you just watch him on the sideline, I watch the Wazoo games to watch him, and he still has that snap. He's the first one off the ball, and he is gone at that point. So he's done a lot of work in the weight room, a lot of work at the dining room table, but it's fantastic weight, not fat weight like I always put on.
You were mentioning yesterday that he to maintain that 310 pounds, he has to pile it in because his metabolism is working so high, as where you and I, we couldn't be on the same diet. We wouldn't last very long if we were on the same diet as
No,
Andre.
Not at all. No, he eats it. I look at it and gain weight. He has to eat it, so it works out.
Now you've been able to follow him. Let's go back to high school again. How good was the Woodinville team when he was playing?
He came right in at his sophomore year. We went to the quarterfinals, semifinals, and lost to Skyline. So he got a lot of practice in behind Devin. And then his next 2 years, he was a starter for me at left tackle. And we progressed. We weren't as good as that team in that process. I think we might have made the first round of the playoffs one time, but he was an all-league, all-KingCo offensive tackle. And then his senior year, he was offensive player of the year as a lineman. He would terrorize people. You would see him with a pancake block, hooking up to someone and driving them across the field, and then just stick them into the ground and running back to get back in the huddle to do it again. So he had the desire and that meanness, that nastiness that you need as an offensive lineman. He had it, and he brought it every game. So he was fantastic to watch. He got, all Kinko. He ended up playing in the All-State game. So he was a legit high school football player. If he weighed 270 pounds in that ballpark, he could have picked any school he wanted to go to. It's just the weight that he just never had a hard time because his metabolism was moving so fast. So it worked out in the end. But, he could have gone to maybe the University of Washington. But the Wazoo worked out just fine for him.
And that would have made you as happy camper had that happened. But he had a familial tie with Washington State. Before we talk about that, let's talk about his little recruiting process. Prior to his senior year of football, you took him to a football camp. Well, you guys went as a team over to Eastern. Tell us a little bit about the story you shared with me yesterday about Coach Best and what happened at the Eastern football camp.
Yeah, no problem. That to me was one of the highlights of my coaching career, watching him go. We were in a drill where it's 3-on-3, where there's 3 defensive linemen versus 3 offensive linemen, a linebacker and a running back, and they hike the ball, and everybody engages and makes a block, and the running back finds a little spot in a very tight window. And Andre got down in his left-handed stance, and they moved their highly recruited kid from Tumwater over. And Andre, they wanted to see what Andre was about and see what this kid was about. And they got him all lined up, slapped him on the butt and said, "Let's go." The whistle blown. Andre snapped off the ball, snapped his hips, rolled him up and stuffed him into the ground on a pancake. And Andre popped back up and came running back. And Coach Best, that was the offensive line coach back then, grabs me on the shoulder and says, "Did you see that?" And I said, "Yeah, I see it all the time." And he was all goosed up, ready to go. And they reset it and they did it again. And boom, Andre gets off the snap of the ball, gets underneath him and drives him off. And this time he slips a little footage because we're on the grass and cleats. And, it doesn't quite get the kid pancake, but blows him off the line. And Coach Best grows up and grabs him and pulls him out of there and takes him to the side. And then he comes walking back and goes, "I've never done this before, Coach." I'm like, "What?" He goes, "I've never offered a kid a scholarship on the spot without talking to Coach Baldwin. I hope I don't get in trouble, but that kid is going to be really, really good." And I said, "Yeah, thank you. It's all coaching. Nah, it's all his athletic ability."
And so that was actually his first scholarship offer, right there on the field at camp. Yep. That's pretty cool. So that's kind of a nice start. Then you told me he actually went and visited a couple other schools.
Yeah, he went down to Portland State, offered him a scholarship down there in Oregon. And then when he came back, he got that one.
Oh, you paused again. Hold on a second.
Trip over there. And
there, you paused for a second. So go back to where he went down to Portland State.
Oh, sorry about that. He went down to Portland.
Yeah, you paused again, Coach.
I'm just trying to get rid of that. Yeah, I know. I'm sorry. I'm being called, and it's.
I gotcha.
Oh, and I try to shift it as fast as I can, and they just think it's I'm driving or something. But he went down to Portland State, got an offer, went to the University of Idaho, came back from there, all happy. Met with a former player, Max Ford, who went on to play in the Canadian Football League and still there. Fell in love with that. Came back, "Coach, I want to be a Vandal. I'm going to be a Vandal." And I kind of had to back him up a little bit and talk to him about, "Hey, there's other schools out there. They're going to come knocking. Let's kind of hold off before you commit." And he goes, "Well, you've taught me to be a man of my word." And I gave them, said I would come here. And I said, "Well, you're 17, 18 years old. That head coach is going to call, take you. If you go up and you be honest and you say, 'Hey, I want to be I'm thinking you're my number one school, but if a Pac-12 school offers me, I'm going to take it.'" And I said, "You need to call him and be honest." So he called him up and was honest with the head coach, and he understood. And then the next week or so, he came back 2 weeks, I think, from that, he came back in a Wazoo shirt with his dad right behind him, smiling ear to ear. And he goes, "You're not going to talk me out of this one, Coach." And I said, "Nope, I'm not. Pac-12 is where you need to play at. And if you get Washington State, I'm more for you. Go for it."
Because, and the cool thing about this is his dad played there in the late 80s. Isn't that right?
Yep. His dad is a couple years older than I am, and we crossed paths. He was on the field, and I was holding the bench down at a couple Apple Cups that we crossed paths in, and we've chuckled into that process about that a few times. So he's a fantastic man. Mitch Dillard, his dad, he's a big kid too, or old man now, I should say, 'cause he's older than I am. He's still in great shape, and I still think he has a few more plays in him. And so Andre has really followed in his dad's footsteps on the size-wise, and you know, he's going to make, I think, the Philadelphia Eagles fans fantastically happy that they drafted him.
That's cool. I want to go back about something you just said a minute ago about how Andre's response to you about, hey, coach, you always taught me to be a man of my word. That has to make you feel good when you have a young man, and like you said, he's 17 years old, but yet mature enough to understand that a principle that you're not directly teaching, you're teaching how to stand and how to come off the ball and plays and body position and stuff like that. But through all of the extra stuff that you guys go through as a coach and a player, or the whole team, is that he is learning a principle of being a good man. And that's got to make you feel good that's coming across.
Oh, it's fantastic. You know, as you coach football, it's the greatest sport out there because it's life lessons on what you need to do, because you're going to get hit in the mouth and just kind of keep battling. And so these kids that, you know, that I'm able to coach when they come in, is now they're freshmen or even younger. You know, I try to teach them how to be respectful towards everybody. You know, look a man in the eye when you're talking to him, because if you look down and you don't know what you're doing, you look like you're a liar. You know, and just being honest and you know, there's no excuses when you come play for me. I don't care if you're sick. I don't care if you have a hangnail. And if you don't get your work done, you know, it's just going to show on the field. And I've always tried to instill great values in them. One of the offsets of that, they hear weird stories from me and maybe an F-bomb or something like that all too often. But I try to make them in so they are respectable young men when they get out of playing high school football. I'm lucky enough to have some of them go on to play college, but for the most part, the majority of them just have a high school career, and I always try to make that as a memory for them to look back when they're sitting around at the reunions, or, you know, in 10, 15, 20 years when they're teaching or coaching their kids and football's still around. They say, hey, that made me a better man. I want my kid to play it. So
that's an awesome story. Now, while he's at the University of Washington, while he's at Washington State University, and you guys are playing your alma mater, Washington, tell us, you know, is your heart torn? Are can you cheer for Andre in the Apple Cup? Or, I mean, obviously you're a Husky through and through, but you're cheering for Andre in all the other games that they play, but in the Apple Cup, you're still a Husky.
Oh, yeah. You know, the Apple Cups doesn't change me. You cut me, I'm going to bleed purple. But one of the greatest things about watching Andre is, you know, you don't judge a book by its cover. I know what's underneath the crimson and gray, and he's a fantastic kid. So even with the Apple Cup going, I want him to play successful. There is never a day in my life that I want him not to have a good play. I just don't want the team to win. So Andre can go out and have a fantastic game, get as many pancakes, do a fantastic job of pass blocking. And if the other four offensive linemen or the quarterback, you know, plays in the snow and can't do what they need to do, I don't mind that. But yeah, over the last 4 years, I've watched more Washington State games than I have in my entire life, just to watch Andre, just to see how well he is progressing. And I'm just thoroughly amazed on how he has moved from every year getting better, from being an honorable mention Pac-12 to being an all Pac-12 to being an All-American, and making himself available to be drafted number 22 in the NFL draft is, you know, due to his hard work and getting it done. One of the most impressive things with Andre is he graduated from WSU in 4 years. So in being an athlete and being able to get out with his college degree before being drafted was phenomenal. So he has set the tones and set goals for himself, and that's what I've always instilled with my players is, hey, you got to manage the little steps before you take the big ones, and he has taken every little step to battle and done a fantastic job.
Those are terrific things. Going back a little bit about his playing days, something that is a little thing, and I don't know if you guys did this in high school, but at WSU, after a win, the team would award an offensive lineman. They called it the Bone Award, and it was for outstanding play of the offensive line. His senior year, in the 11 wins that WSU had, he garnered 5 of those awards, meaning that he was the outstanding offensive lineman of 5, almost half of their wins. He garnered that award. That's got to make you feel good that he is routinely, week after week, being the guy that's and as coaches, it's kind of, you kind of feel, well, I can't give the award every week to the same kid, but if the kid's earning it, if the kid is playing outstanding like Andre did, he ended up getting 5 of those Bone Awards. Did you guys do anything like that in high school, pancake awards or anything like that?
Yeah, we I count pancakes. You know, for us, that's the only really stat that we have that you can keep track of, and we count pancakes. So when I go over all the game film, I start marking them up, and Andre was fantastic on getting them. And we would celebrate it at the Woodinville High School. We go down to the local Dairy Queen if we get 10 pancakes in a game, and travel down there. So I've added that in there, and I don't think I had that when Andre was there, because he would have cost me, a lot of blizzard. But to this day, that's how we kind of changed it up to kind of give the guys a little bit of an award in that process. So they really enjoy that. Anytime you can give a old lineman, a treat to stay big, it works out fantastic.
That's pretty cool. Now, something off the subject of Andre, didn't you guys just have a kid from Woodinville sign with the WSU again?
I have another one over there. If I was a better coach, I'd get him to the U, but I'm just go where I'm at. But yeah, we have Cade Beresford. He's over there. He also plays left tackle, and he's in the battle with there. He's probably going to be a 2 for him this year, maybe a 2 or a 2.5. But in the next year, after following year, he's got to gain a little weight too. He was on the skinny side. He was about 270, and he's got up to about 290 now. So he's going to be right in the mix. He's only a true freshman. He redshirted this last fall. So I got another one over there. So I'm going to continually to watch the Washington State, football program, and getting to know the recruiting process. Coach Mealy over there is a fantastic guy. And now they have a fantastic O-line coach over there with Coach Mason Miller. And he's really done a great job transforming Andre from a very different pass pro protection that he did his first 4 years over there. And now when Coach Miller was there, has really fine-tuned him into what he's really got into the NFL style now.
So tell us what Andre said about having a coaching change for his senior year.
He was a little bit, hesitant, a little worried on how it came in. But Coach Miller came right in, set the tone of what needs to be done, and has really set a great example on what needs to be done. And they've changed their pass pro where they're not a true vertical set anymore, to where they are a jump set where they jump out really quick on to the defensive lineman and not get his rhythm in. And it's just kind of changed up the demeanor and the attitude, and it's really, really paid off. So as a Husky fan, I'm not really too keen on that, because they're going to get better on the offensive line with Coach Miller in there. But at the same point, he's done a fantastic job in getting Andre ready to go for the NFL.
That's terrific, and that's you got to figure that your new Cougar that you guys have over there now, being a redshirt freshman, had Andre, the big brother Andre, looking out for him. The fact that they were both Woodinville guys. And you got to be happy that your kid's playing Pac-12 football. Another cool stat that was actually brought out in some of the press conferences that Andre gave post-draft was that in the 677 pass attempts that he was on the field for, he only surrendered 1 sack. And when you put that to numbers, that's an awesome percentage, that he was only accounted for 1 sack in 677 snaps. That's a lot of plays over a 4-year career.
Oh yeah, and just having that one alone, and it still eats him. I remember watching the post-game interview, and the first thing they asked him, "So you had that sack today?" And Can you want to talk about that? And what caused that? And Andre looked at that reporter square in the eye and went, communication. Gave him the stern, pissed off look and didn't say another word the whole interview and got up and left. And so he remembers that to this day. And he's always constantly trying to work on things, and it's all off the visualization. You don't have a lot of time to think when you're an offensive lineman. You have your pre-snap reads. If you look at their footwork, if you look at kind of which hand's down, which foot's down, you can kind of get an idea of what they're doing. But, at some point in time, you need the offensive guard next to you or the running back to give you a hand. And when the miscommunication happens, it kind of shows, and it might make you look really bad because you're going to the left when you anticipated help to the inside or something like that. So it still eats him to this day. And when he was at the Senior Bowl, I went down there to watch him down there, and I kind of see him, and I've learned not to really critique what he's done and just kind of talk to him about having fun and doing stuff like that because it eats him up. And he is a constant a learner from his past mistakes. So he's gonna just constantly, that eats at him. The same way, when I've had one too many donuts, I'm like, dang it, I shouldn't have had that extra donut. But it tasted so good. Andre keeps thinking about that sack and other issues that are going to make him where he feels that he's not at the top of his game.
He's always trying to learn, which is a good thing. And you mentioned the Senior Bowl. After the Senior Bowl is when, after the week of the Senior Bowl is when a lot of the talk about him being one of the top offensive linemen coming into the draft. What did he say about his experience? You were able to go down and watch him at the Senior Bowl. Did he say that he just had a great week, or finally he was on a stage where he was able to be more noticed, as opposed to being kind of hidden in Pullman and out there in the rolling plains of the wheat fields in Pullman? But what did he say about his experience at the Senior Bowl?
He loved it. It's like playing an all-star game. I believe the Senior Bowl takes the top 110 kids that are eligible for the draft, and they bring them all down to Mobile, Alabama, and give them a great show down there. And in that aspect, now they're running with the NFL coaches. John Gruden and the Raiders was on, I think, the north side, and I forget who was Andre's coaches on that side. But now they're giving him a pro offense to learn. They're putting his hand down in the dirt so he's able to do run blocking, and everyone's able to see him. The hardest thing about even in Pullman, Washington, it's that Pac-12, the West Coast. A lot of people don't stay up late to watch us play, and so they never really see him. He really performed. He played left tackle for him, and then had an injury on the side. Right tackle, run blocking, run blocking, and that's where he really started to shine. And people saw how really fast his feet were, and how good his hips were. The snap of his snap, getting off the ball, everything. That's when people really started to take notice and saying, "Hey, this kid's legit." And then he went down to the combine and ran a sub 5.40. Broad jumped almost 10 feet and just tore it up down there. People just saying, hey, this kid's very athletic, and he's 315 pounds. This kid is going to be very well for us. So it worked out well.
And it did translate into the number 22 pick in the draft for the Philadelphia Eagles. Did he have some sort of idea where he was going to go? I remember hearing that he was projected around 15. But when obviously you probably talked to him because you were down there. Did he kind of have an idea of where to expect to get picked?
He never mentioned what number he would get picked at. That was never a goal of his to say, hey, I want to be the 8th pick. That was not it. He was down there, and he had been flown around the country to different teams, and they have all talked to him about wanting to be coming to them and master it. The Houston Texans were kind of the biggest ones, kind of on the forefront, so he thought he'd get drafted by them. A funny story about that, when they were down in the Mobile, they have these informal interviews and formal, and they were inside a formal one, and it had the head coach in there, Coach O'Brien, and he wanted to watch Andre do his steps and his run blocking steps to see if he could block. So Andre gets in a stance, and Coach O'Brien's right in front of him, block me like the dummy, block me like I'm a defensive lineman. So he went set, Andre comes up, gets into him, good work, get into the coach nice and easy, and then O'Brien goes, no, I want to go faster, harder. I want to see you do this. And so Andre gets back down the stand, into him a little bit harder, but he's walking in NFL. You know,
Oh,
these kids are
Coach,
so much.
Coach, Coach,
Yeah.
stop. You're cutting up.
Oh, shit.
And I heard that Coach told him that he wanted to go a little bit harder,
Yep.
and then it got fuzzy. So go back a little bit in your story and
Okay.
and,
Yeah,
and
and so
start
Coach
over.
O'Brien, the head coach, said hit me harder, and Andre got a little upset because it was his third time. So he got down his stance, goes, "I'm going to hit this SOB." Got out, fired out, jacked him right in the chest, lifted him up, slammed him up over the table and into the wall. And O'Brien, you know, and Andre's like, "Well, I don't think I'm going to get drafted by these guys." And also O'Brien goes, "That's it. That's why I'm going to pay you $1 million. That's what you're going to make in the NFL. That is what I want to see." And so Andre is kind of wide-eyed going, "Wow, you know, I guess that was kind of fun." So, you know, the Houston Texans kind of were the team. They came up and did a lot of they did some work with him on Woodinville High School. And so that's where we were kind of thinking he was going. And then when they were picking 23rd, all of a sudden the trade comes in and shebang, the Philadelphia Eagles jumped ahead of him and picked him up. And we couldn't be happier with him going to Philadelphia. So that's awesome.
That's awesome. That is a great story too, and I'm glad the internet finally accommodated us so that we could we could get that on the show.
I'm in the hills of Woodinville, up here in rich country, wine country. You'd think the internet would be fine.
You would think, but it's finicky sometimes. That is a great story that the coach kept egging him on to hit him harder and hit him harder. That's cool. Looking at the draft, he was the 4th offensive lineman picked. He was picked number 22, but 4th of 6 in the first round. And then just to look at how many more offensive linemen, there were 6 more picked in the second round. So 12 offensive linemen were picked in the first 2 rounds of the NFL draft. That's 64 picks, and 12 of them were offensive linemen. Only, and he was the number 4 guy. Now the Seahawks had number 22, or no, to number 21, but then they traded down. Were you thinking that there was a possibility that he could be a Seahawk?
Always, you know, it was his dream. You know, everyone asked him, you know, to play in front of, you know, his family and where he grew up. I think that's every kid's dream. But over the past years, watching how the Seahawks draft, we knew they weren't going to stay there, and they're not going to get a number 1. They're not going to
offensive lineman.
No. It may be a D lineman. You know, they always think defense wins. But, you know, with that, you know, with them trading that pick away and then the next one coming up being traded again, that just worked out. You know, we'd all love him to be in Seattle, but it kind of gives him a fresh start being in Philadelphia. He doesn't have to worry about, you know, 100 people asking him, "Hey, I need tickets. Hey, can I do this? Hey, can you?"
Right.
And now he's going to be
right.
And people are going to be off to the side and just kind of get to know him as a Philadelphia Eagle. So I think it worked out just perfect.
That's awesome. I'm so happy. I'm happy. I'm happy for him that this all worked out. Now we've talked about how he left Woodinville and went to WSU. What was the one bit of advice that you gave him right before he left to go to summer camp at for his freshman year at WSU? Do you remember?
One likes a skinny Santa. That's what I tell him every day. Every time when I see him skinny, I'd say no one likes a skinny Santa. And he got tired of. I always make my kids eat peanut butter and jelly sandwiches, have a couple right before they go to bed, and then wake up. As if you wake up at 2 or 3, go make another one. So, you know, I just told them, hey, to gain weight, have a good time, make sure you understand what the goals are, what you need to do, and just have a great time. So that's my thing. Is no one likes a skinny Santa was my best words of advice for him.
And well, he's still.
I live that today. You know.
We both do. We're in good company here.
Yep.
Now, okay. Well, you know what? This has been terrific. Now, you were able to spend Wayne Maxwell, the head coach at Woodinville. You both went back to Nashville.
Yep.
And that's the first time you guys have done that? That's a first-time experience. Tell us a little bit about about how what was something that you didn't expect to see or experience that you ended up experiencing back there?
Well, I got to see Mean Joe Green as a kid, always watching that Diet Coke commercial.
Yeah.
Really going to pro football games. You always seen him on TV. I got to meet, Mean Joe Green. He was standing right next to me in line. I was too starstruck to say anything to him, but just kind of go, that's Mean Joe Green. That's Mean Joe Green. So that was fantastic. But, the hoopla of the NFL draft is like getting married. When you're you're going through all the process, you got all the nerves, and then once you go up, I got to do all my announcements. I got to say my vows, and you're stressed and nervous, and then as soon as they say, the preacher goes in, I'd like to introduce, Mrs. and Mrs. Michael Monan, boom, all that anxiety goes away. Any married man knows exactly what I'm talking about. Once that's done, that was the same process that I went through until Andre got picked. And once he got picked, it was that same euphoric moment as, hey, I just met, the woman of my life. I'm married to her. Everything else is going to be gravy from this point on. And seeing the stress and frustration of Andre behind the scenes, just kind of waiting to make that call and to get going. And then once he was done, he was bent over with his phone in his ear, listening, looking down, going through it. And then when his eyes came up, when he knew he was drafted, the smile on his face and just the tears of excitement were just awesome. And so that's as a proud coach and a proud friend, seeing that, being able to done all the weights off his shoulder from everything. And now he's playing his NFL dream. We've all played tackle football in our backyards thinking I'm going to be an NFL football player. I'm going to be a running back, or I'm going to be a quarterback or something, but no one ever thinks you're going to be an offensive lineman. And now he is an offensive lineman in the NFL. So it's just awesome.
And you were able to be sitting right next to him there in the banquet hall. Did Philadelphia call him right before they announced it, or was it right after?
They called him on his cell phone. So he picked that up on his cell phone. And the funny thing is, Coach Maxwell had to go to the bathroom. He had to go piss. And the Seahawks are up, and he's like, oh, they ain't picking him. They'll trade. So he gets up, and he walks out, and Murphy's Law came in. As soon as he walked out the door, bam, Andre's phone rang, and it was the Eagles. And so Wayne missed the first part of it, but he was able to get back and hoop and holler with us. So they call him, and that's when he knows it. And then it goes into a little bit of an NFL production. They moved him over for an area, and then they announce it. But there's a swarm of cameras over your shoulder, and they want, and a couple times they bumped into me, and I'm like, hey, I'm enjoying this as well as everyone else, and then boom, off he goes, and then he's drifted out through the tunnel, giving his hat and smile, have a little walkout on the stage, and boom, then they gets his pictures, everything like that. It's just awesome time.
So now, have they already determined that his number is going to be 77?
That's what they've got. I don't know how they determine that. I noticed all the rookies and watching their press conferences, they all are already given their numbers. And so I don't know if it's a situation that there's an open number for the team. I know Andre always likes number 60. He played for 60 for me at Woodinville, and he played 60 at Washington State. So I don't know if somebody else has that already, and he's just got to make a deal to get it back, or the 77 is what he's going to play. I don't know if the 60 is retired for the Eagles. I don't know enough about that, but I know, like I said, it's just the cover of the book. No one needs, it's just a cover.
Right.
Inside of that jersey's the man.
Yeah.
The number never makes it. Unless you're a receiver with the number 8, they all have the gold chains, numbers on it, like it means something.
Right.
But for Andre, I think it's just a jersey, and he's going to play for it.
And when you guys when all of the hoopla and the press conferences, you guys finally probably go out to dinner later that night. What did he finally say? What did he express to you and Wayne?
I'm hungry. He couldn't eat. So afterwards we went, we had a room at the hotel. His agency got us a room next to the bar, and so we were able to eat and just be relaxed. I mean, Andre's the same kid, even after he got drafted, even before. He's just, ready for the next step. Had a great time. He was there with his mother and father, his stepmother, his grandmother and grandpa, and his fun aunt, his brother and sisters. Just had a great time, just kind of hanging out with family, and you could just see it was just the relaxing part of that. And then he knew he was waking up early in the morning to get back to Philadelphia. And I stayed there since the beer was free. I stayed there for a couple more, and then I went and crashed for my flight home on Friday morning.
Friday morning. That's a terrific story. So he left Nashville and went straight to Philadelphia.
Yep, and he got a better. He was sitting in first class. I got the second to the last row in the plane on the way home. I thought they would treat me a little bit better, but apparently the high school coach doesn't matter anymore now that he's with Philly.
That's right.
Yeah, he flew right to Philadelphia first thing in the morning. I don't think is I think, whatever wake up time was and get back there. And then he was greeted by the fans at the airport, greeted, the whole time out there. And walked in with his brand new nether suit and just strutted out.
Yeah, I
he
saw.
owned the joint and made me proud on how he answered all the questions of the reporters. Yeah. And he has shown that he is truly, truly a true young man, ready to do business, and that football is his business. So it was very, very proud. And every once in a while, somebody would be cutting onions up, and I'd end up tearing up and just watching that. So it's amazing.
It's got to make you feel good that some of the things that you taught him on that field back there at Woodinville have remained and become concrete in his foundation, which is it's got to be a good feeling.
Foundation, and everyone else worked the chisel sticks to make him into the man that he is now. But yeah, you can still see, and we still communicate very well together. But now he's in the pro ranks. And, and I just coach high school, so it's going to be interesting to see what I can pick his brain and help out. We were playing in a playoff game against, I think it was Gonzaga Prep, and they just slanted back and forth. And so I called Andre to ask him what he did, and he gave me the answer. And I told our kids, and we played that way, and we ended up beating them, and it was an awesome time. And so Andre's, helping out his old coach by helping out some techniques. So I pick his brain whenever I can, and I'm interested for him to get better under Jason Peters and learn some more things so I can pick his brain some more and see if I can translate that down to the high school level. So I'm constantly learning just as much as he's constantly learning. So I think we will work together, hopefully for quite a few more years together.
That's terrific. That's another great story. Well, I'm so happy for him. I'm actually, my son is graduating from PA school in Philadelphia here in 2 weeks. And so maybe you can hook me up and I can visit with Andre while I'm back there in Philadelphia. That would be fun.
I would be more than happy to. I know he doesn't mind an interview, but he's not as happy to talk as I am. But, if there's something I can do, not a problem, Jim. Anytime.
Let's set that up. That would be fun. I hopefully he gets to see this and laugh at you. Yes. Well, anytime we can give someone some enjoyment, that's a good thing.
That is true. Laughter's the best medicine. So
that's right.
With. Anyone can be a boring stiff and just kind of give you just this plain Jane answers. But if you give a little bit of heart and a little bit of thought with it, it makes everything work a little bit better. I always like to talk to people. I'm one of the strange people, so I don't mind it. This has
been a lot of fun. I'm glad we did get to meet that summer of 2017 here in a hot Moses Lake.
95, yeah.
That was a hot week. It was. Yep. Hey, Coach, this has been a lot of fun. I hope the best with all that you do and in helping kids, and I hope the best for Andre and his career at Philadelphia. I hope it's long and prosperous, and that they're just shortly coming off a Super Bowl win, and the excitement there, the fans. Rabid fans, and
yes.
My son and I are actually going to go watch the Phillies play, and they love their sports back there in Philadelphia. But my son's coming home to work here in Moses Lake, so that's the best thing is to have family coming home. So hey, Coach, appreciate your time and thank you so much. This has been really fun, and hopefully, if something comes up, we can do it again. And
anytime.
With your next NFL draftee, the kid that's at WC now.
I got one in Pullman, and I've got a stud right now that's playing for me. He's going to be a senior this year, and he's got his pick of the Pac-12s right now too. So I've been lucky enough to get some good kids that come through, and I've got another one, Levi Rogers, is probably will follow in the footsteps of playing somewhere in the Pac-12.
Oh, good.
So one way or the other, I would like to see another kid get into the draft and manage that. But, for them just to go through high school and then to get their college education, that's what I strive for. And then that's the cherry on top of the sundae if they are able to get to the NFL.
That's right. That's right.
I'm looking forward to it.
Awesome. Hey, Coach, thank you so much. And I hope you have a great day. And I appreciate your time.
Fantastic. Go Falcons and go Eagles.
That's right. You take care, man.
Thanks, Jim.
We'll see you, Mike. Appreciate
Bye-bye.
your time. All righty, folks. That was Mike Monan. What a great guy. And that was a very enjoyable interview. I really appreciate Mike and his time and the opportunity I had to visit with him. This was really enjoyable. I don't know how much more I can say, how much that I love football, and to be able to visit with Mike, and get all that information about Andre Dillard. That was really fun. I really enjoyed it. Let's do a little business here. I appreciate your time, folks. I'm going to go through my sponsors. I want to give a little time to my sponsors. Appreciate them for being with me and helping us bring this broadcast to you. Jay's Teriyaki Grill is delicious rice, noodles, fantastic teriyaki, chicken, beef, or pork, and crazy huge portions, making this one of the best bangs for your buck in the area. And their egg rolls, folks, if you'd like egg rolls, try Jay's Teriyaki Grill's egg rolls. They are wonderful. You can't go wrong by stopping at Jay's Teriyaki Grill for lunch or dinner, whether you eat it there at the restaurant or you pick it up and take it home or back to work. They can do it any way you want it. And they can also cater for your parties. Just go try it for yourself. They are on the corner of Alder and Broadway at 123 East Broadway Avenue. Call 509-764-5155, and it'll be ready for you when you get there. Jay's Teriyaki Grill, and tell them Big Jim sent you. Also, you can get the Chow Now app. It's in one of the posts here on the broadcast. The Chow Now app allows you to order online, and you pay for it online, and then it can be ready whenever you want it. It's a really nice app. Our next sponsor is TSYS Merchant Solutions. They offer everything you want from payment processing company, free equipment, the lowest processing costs possible, and local customer service. If you're looking to improve your bottom line, let's look where we can save you some of the money that you've earned in your business. We'll check your processing statement and see what extra fees that you're being charged. We can customize your processing costs and provide you with the best local customer service and free equipment. TSYS Merchant Solutions wants to partner with you to make your business successful. Call 750-5676 and we can get you a free analysis. And you can also check us out online at tsys.com. www.tsys.com. That's TSYS.com. My next sponsor is Frederick's Jewelry. My good friend Nick Criscolio is the owner-operator of Frederick's Jewelry. And at Frederick's Jewelry, you can find that's something special for your loved ones. They provide custom designed jewelry and expert jewelry repair. Not only do they sell and repair jewelry, they also have beautiful fine gifts, from glassware vases, vials, ceramic sculptures, to gold and silver watches, necklaces, or rings. With over 60 years in the business, they're the ones to trust for jewelry, fine gifts, or jewelry and watch repair. Serving Moses Lake since 1953, Frederick's Jewelry is at 208 West 3rd Avenue, 765-6331. Also, you can go on to their Facebook page at Frederick's Jewelry ML, or they have a website at fredericksjewelry.multiscreensite.com/gallery, and you can see a lot of the work that Nick has done and that they can do for you. My last sponsor is Boost Mobile. Boost Mobile is where you can get 4 lines of unlimited gigs when you switch to Boost Mobile. includes mobile hotspot per line, available in-store or online. And go to their website at boostmobile.com, and you can go down and see the on East Broadway, Suite C in Moses Lake, or you can give them a call at 764-4298. For store hours, Monday through Saturday, 10 to 7 p.m., 10 a.m. to 7 p.m., and on Sundays they are there from noon to 5 p.m. So if you need any jewelry, go to Frederick's Jewelry. If you need any cell service help, cell phones, go to Boost Mobile. And then if you're hungry, check out Jay's Teriyaki. I appreciate all of the sponsors here on the bench with Big Jim. And I appreciate you guys watching today. It's been enjoyable. I appreciate your time. On Friday's show, currently I have Coach Israel Silva, who is an assistant coach at Fresno State University on their wrestling team, and that's what we have planned for Friday's show. Excuse me. Looking forward to a great rest of this Wednesday, and I hope you all have a wonderful day as well. Thanks again for watching On the Bench with Big Jim, and we'll see you again on Friday. Take care, everybody, and I think that's it. You all have a great day, and like and share the video, please. And if you enjoyed the show, look how you can help contribute here on in one of the posts, how you can help sponsor the show. Thanks again, everybody. You guys take care, and we will see you all on Friday. Take care, everybody. Bye.